Good morning, children. Now we have to take a lesson from biology, that is plant kingdom. This is for 8th standard. From the book, it is 17th lesson. So we said already living things are divided into two kinds, that is animal kingdom and plant kingdom. Under the plant kingdom, there are two divisions in the plant kingdom. That what are they? We'll see now. Plant kingdom. One is cryptogams. Other one is phanerogams. So what are the two divisions of plant kingdom? Cryptogams and phanerogams. Cryptogams are non-flowering plants. This is non-flowering. This is flowering plants. So, we have to say now what is cryptogams and what is phanerogams. Cryptogams I said non-flowering, phanerogams flowering plants. Non-flowering, from the name itself we know they do not produce the flower. It's only for the ornamental purposes. It gives beauty to the nature, but there is no profit by giving flowers. So what are the things comes under non-flowering, that is cryptogams? Thalophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Here P is silent. So non-flowering plants, we divide them into Thalophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Flowering plants, we divide them into Angiosperm and Gymnosperm. So, by the names itself, sperms means what? Seeds. They produce the seeds and thus they produce the flowers. Here there is no seeds. We cannot differentiate them into roots, stem and leaves. There is no proper differentiations. That seems to be in this Thalophyta. It is the green color plant. Step by step, gradually they show the characteristics. This is Thalophyta, Bryophyta. That is better than Thalophyta. Better than Bryophyta than Pteridophyta. Okay, yeah. So what are the living things? Classified into two kingdom, that is plant and animal. Animal we have seen already. Then we have to say plant kingdom. Animal kingdom we have divided into vertebrate and invertebrate. So we have seen the examples. And the plant kingdom, there are two kinds of kingdom. One is cryptogams, other one is phanerogams. Cryptogams I say non-flowering, flowering plants. Under the cryptogams, Thalophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, we have to first see these three, that is Thalophyta, how it is differ from Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Okay, yeah. Step by step they will show the improvement. First we will see what is Thalophyta. Now we will see Thalophyta. I will say right here. Thalo. Thalo means thallus. The plant body is thallus. We got examples, we got preserved specimens in our lab. But in the next class I will show what are the Thalophyta. They are green plants. The plant body is thallus. They are green. So because they have why the green color they have? Because it has the green color pigment chlorophyll. By using chlorophyll pigment, they can produce its own food. We cannot differentiate the Thalophyta into root, stem and leaves. So, under the heading Thalophyta, we have to see an example, algae. Algae. Wherever you see in the water surface, mostly they are water plants. So, wherever you see the wet condition of water, you can see the greenish surface, that is algae. They are entirely in green color only. Most of the algae are in green color. They are simple and primitive plants. Primitive means what? First stage of the plant. They are simple. There is no differentiation into root, stem and leaves. They are autotrophs. Why they are autotrophs? Because they have chlorophyll. There are two kinds of food taking process. One is autotroph, other one is heterotroph. We would have studied in the lower classes. Autotroph. What is autotroph? Auto. Producing its own food. Produces food. Autotroph, what I said, they produce their own food by using green color pigment. But heterotrophs, they cannot produce their own food. They are depending on other plants. Okay, depending on others. There are two kinds of mode of nutrition. One is autotroph, other one is heterotroph. Clear? So Thalophyta, I said, they are green. They have the chlorophyll. They are autotrophic in nature. Autotrophs. Primitive plant. So the plant body, I said, that is thallus. So some of the algae are they are phytoplankton, very smallest phytoplankton. They can be the food for the lower organisms. They are very primitive. Okay. So the branch of study of algae is known as algology. Phycology or algology. They are mostly aquatic plants. Okay, yeah. So there are three kinds of mode of habitat. Habitat means what? Living place. They can be mostly in the water. Further, we can divide them into symbionts. Symbionts we have studied in the other classes already. Further, we can divide them into symbionts, phytoplankton, symbionts. Symbionts, these are the organisms. They cannot prepare their own food. They can produce, they can help the other plant in some other means. By helping like that, they can get the food from that organism. That is, they depend on other organism for the food. They cannot prepare its own food. They give something else. For example, symbiont, that is leguminous plants and all, that is pea plant, this plant and all, they cannot, we can see a kind of bacteria. So they cannot prepare their own food. Instead, they make the nitrogen compounds into easier, ammonia compounds into easier nitrogen compounds and gives to the plant which it depends. So these plants take the nitrogen from symbiont and they are giving the food to them. This kind of process is known as what? Symbiont. So there are reproduction we have to see. What are the kinds of reproduction? They are reproduction, you know what is reproduction? Producing our own kind. Producing its own kind. Reproduction may be in the three ways, that is vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Vegetative, but the plants can grow to certain heights. So after that, that is any part of the plant can divide and becomes, any part of the plant can divide and thus they produce the other organism. For example, we can say Spirogyra. Spirogyra okay, yeah, Spirogyra, it's a filament. Filament, you know what it is? Like that. Okay, yeah, it's going on. Now, our sugar cane like that it is. Here we can see chlorophyll dots. So it grows to certain height. After when it reaches to the normal height, it breaks into many bits. And how many bits it produces, every bit has become a new organism. And this kind of reproduction is known as vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction, one part of the plant, the part of the plant divides at certain, grows to certain heights and divides into many. This is known as what? Vegetative reproduction. Example what I said, Spirogyra. And next one we have to say asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, there is no asexual, no sex. That means any of the gamete, only one gamete only produces, and thus from single gamete it produces the other organism. That is known as what? Asexual reproduction. Example, Chlamydomonas. And the last one is sexual reproduction by producing the spores. They can reproduce by the fusion of the two. For example, Chara. So, then we have to say classification of algae. Classification, I'll write here. Classification of algae. Classification means what? Division of algae. The question and answers will be given to you. So, no need to mark by yourself. Anyway, we will give the question and answers. If possible, you write, choose, fill up like that. We will give the question and answers. By the management side, the question and answers will be given. Classification further, we divide them into, it's given in page number 193. We divide them into 4 kinds, that is blue-green algae. On the appearance, on seeing the appearance, we can divide them into 4. Blue-green algae, green algae, and then brown algae, then red algae. Okay, see the book, page number 193. The class, example, type of pigment, what are the pigment, what are the raw materials present in that, everything given the blue-green algae. That is, otherwise we can say Cyanophyceae, blue-green, that is, the algae seems to be blue-green shade it is. So, what's the other name for that? Cyanophyceae. Example, Oscillatoria. What is the pigment in that? Pigment which gives the color. So, the algae got blue and green color. This is because of particular pigment, that is phycocyanin. So, what the reserve food, that is food stored in that is Cyanophycean starch. Next one, green algae. Green means you know chlorophyll only, Chlorophyceae. Chlamydomonas, pigment is chlorophyll, starch it stores. Brown algae, that is Pyophyceae. Example, what I said, Laminaria. The type of pigment is fucoxanthin. The reserve food is laminarian starch. Red algae, Rhodophyceae. Example, what I said, Polysyphonia. Type of pigment is phycoerythrin, because of erythrin only it gives in red color, and fluoridine starch, that is the stored material. Okay. Then the economic importance we will see, that is how it is useful to us. That is, it may be a food for some of the animals. That's a fodder for some of the animals. What are the things there we are used means ulva, spiralaria, chlorella. Okay, yeah. Now, what are the food we have to say? Food of the algae. What are the economic importance of the algae? It is used as food for some of the cattle. And it is used in agriculture. Even we too take as a, we too consume some other algae as a food. It is used in agriculture. So, for example, what I said, what are the things we are taking as a food? Ulva, spirulina, chlorella. Then some domestic animals, laminaria also. Agriculture we are using for agriculture also. We are using for fixing of nitrogen. Fixing of nitrogen in the soil. Okay, yeah. And agar-agar, it is the algae. It's a kind of algae used to prepare. This is we are getting from the red algae, we are getting from that. It is used in the laboratories for the research purposes. Okay, and chloropyrinidisa is used in the travel to get rid of carbon dioxide. So, they use in the space travel also. The people, that astronauts, those who are traveling, they can use this to reduce the level of carbon dioxide. And they produce single cell protein also, SCP. Single cell protein, by consuming one cell, we can get the protein, how much of protein need for our body, that can be produced by this algae. Example, spirulina. This is otherwise known as single cell protein. So what are the things we have seen? Plant kingdom, cryptogams, phanerogams, non-flowering, flowering. Non-flowering, we can divide them into Thalophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta. We are dividing Thalophyta, the plant body is thallus, it's an aquatic plant, simple primitive plant it is. So there are autotrophic plants that they can prepare their own food. Study of algae is known as phycology or algology. The plant body is known as thallus. There are two kinds of autotrophic food as well as sometimes they are acting as symbionts also. And we can classify them into blue-green algae, brown algae and red algae. What are the pigments present in that? According to the pigment they got the colors. And what are the uses? The reproduction we have seen, there are three ways of reproduction: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. And it used in many purposes. What are the economic importance of algae? It is used as food, it is used in agriculture. Agar-agar is a liquid produced, it is useful in the laboratory researches. And the space travel, the astronauts use this to reduce the level of carbon dioxide. And spirulina is a single cell protein which gives protein sufficient to our body. This is together what? Thalophyta. Next what we have to say? Bryophyta.